And we're back, and we just finished watching 1995's Persuasion. This was in conjunction with BBC and Masterpiece Theatre. I originally saw this in Channel 13. It's an hour and 47 minutes, and it's rated PG. It follows the story of Jane Austen.
Channel 13 is the local New York PBS
Public Broadcasting Station. Yes. In case people didn't know what Channel 13 was. And this is my favorite Austen novel with my favorite Austen characters. And I think that there are several versions of Persuasion, but this is, to me, the definitive one. And in, I guess, anticipation of Valentine's Day, I wanted to pick a love story. So in this story, we meet Anne Elliot, who's part of the Elliot family. She is kind of a lone wolf in her family. Everybody in her family is kind of a narcissist and a jerk.
Horrible.
And
she has the worst family
ever. And she's not like any of them. She's sort of like...
She's polite.
Yes. And when she was younger, she knew a man named Frederick Wentworth, and he unfortunately had no money or career, and back in the 1800s in England, that was a big deal. So instead of marrying somebody under her station, I guess, she decided to reject his proposal.
Well, wasn't she like cajoled into rejecting
Yes,
him?
Lady Russell also played a
by-
part in that. But I think ultimately, well, she says also in the beginning of the story, right? She's like, I don't blame you. I did what I thought was right. But anyway, so I'll go around the room and get impressions. This is directed by Roger Michell. And a screenplay by Nick Deere. This runs an hour and 47 minutes. I don't know if I said that already, but yes, and originally ran on the PBS station. This is a CD. We busted out a CD because this is not DVD. Sorry, I'm tired.
Was it audio only?
Yes, it was. We busted out the DVD of this. This is not currently playing anywhere for free. If you want to watch it, you'd have to pay for it. But, okay, that's it for, I guess, the prelude. So I'll go around the table. I'll start with you, G. What did you think about the story?
I didn't really care about it.
Did you have a favorite part?
Yes.
And what was that?
Oh my god, that girl is sorry.
It's when one of their friends jumps off a ledge expecting to be caught. but she doesn't get caught. And she gets knocked unconscious because she's such a fool.
I've seen this.
She is so idiotic.
I've seen this movie a million times, and I have never laughed at this movie.
I've never seen it, and like my first reaction was just, "What a dumbass!" She's like, "I'm determined," and then just, I'm determined, Captain, and then she just jumps off and somehow, like, it wasn't even a huge thing. It was like maybe like 8 or 9 feet, and she knocked herself unconscious for 2 weeks. 2 weeks she was unconscious. What an idiot. Oh my god.
Expecting to survive.
She did survive.
I seriously wish that BBC had money for a stuntman, because that would have been even more funny if she just belly flopped right off the The way they filmed it, it was clear they were clearly protecting the actress from harm, but even that was kind of ridiculous, because it was like she's jumping and it goes onto her face, and then it's sort of like you see her sort of like in slow motion just filling up the entire screen, and then for some reason it looks like the camera just goes right to her crotch or whatever. I guess that's supposed to be like her dress fluttering up because she's falling with such great velocity. It was just ridiculous. And an otherwise, serious, period piece with a lot of stuffed shirts and cravats and people who look like they say harumph.
All right, so you didn't care for the story, G?
No, I don't.
All right. Ray?
I thought the story was fine. I'm more I guess the Jane Austen one that I've seen again and again and again and again is Pride and Prejudice.
The Ciarán, the
Ciarán Hinds one. I think I may have even seen one of the other versions, but the one I've seen is the one with Ciarán Hinds, and I enjoyed that one a lot. This one not as much, maybe because it was a little hard to understand what the hell they were saying in the beginning. I mean, I think that they were, I guess, being very true to the language of the day, and maybe the Keira Knightley version, they just spoke more clearly, or the language was a bit, modernized. I mean, they weren't like dropping slang or anything like that, but it just was a little bit easier to understand in the beginning. Like, I think in the beginning of this one, we actually had to pause, and you had to give us a Cliff Notes version of what we had just seen, because I really didn't know what the hell was going on. Her family was terrible. I enjoyed the family in Pride. The family in Pride and Prejudice was lovable.
Yes.
These people were horrible. Her older sister was just...
witch.
It was like she had a lemon up her butt the whole time.
She always looked like she was sucking on a lemon.
Yeah.
She had that face, right?
And her younger sister was just...
an idiot. She was so...
a hypochondriac, selfish idiot. It's just like...
She was a horrible mother.
Oh, my son broke his arm. Wait, you'll watch him while I go to this party? All right.
Dinner party, yeah. Her father's no better.
Her father...
They left him twice!
Yeah.
They left the little
With
kid
the
twice.
servants!
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Lower your voice.
And the father was terrible.
You want to marry Anne?
The father...
Whatever for.
Yeah, whatever for. What, that one? The father was awful. It was like he spent his entire day just laughing at the way people looked or something. Oh, I was walking down the street, the women were terrible. The men were even worse. And I could see, I mean, you've been... Maybe a little bit was you gassing this movie up for like the entirety of our marriage, even though I've never seen it until now, but you always talk about that letter. And the letter was lovely.
I didn't understand it.
I agree with the kids that the overlapping of voices that they did kind of made it a little hard to understand.
You know what? I've read that letter so many times. I know it.
Well, that's
So,
because you have it on a bracelet.
I do have it on a bracelet. I do.
So, I give it points off for that. Also, one thing I don't know, maybe, I'm sure this was just the mark of the times, but to me, it's always strange that these women are just so helpless and so dependent upon coincidence. Mm-hmm. That it's just like, oh, they have this undying love for somebody. But even when they find out, I guess his other marriage his other engagement didn't work out, it's like, okay, well, now you can go pursue him. No, you can't. You have to wait until somebody maybe comes along and says, oh, we're going to
so-and-so's house.
Bath, and would you like to join us for the summer? And, on the way, look, it's this guy's house. Or, oh, look, he just walked into the coffee shop
that was completely a sign of the times, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you didn't do anything without proper etiquette.
Yeah, women were so...
I mean, there's that scene where she's like, oh, I'm going to see Mrs. Smith. And the father gets indignant. He's like, you're going to pass up seeing our cousins, the Viscountess, because you're going to go see some penniless widow. Yeah. Everything, especially for the other Elliots, not Anne, obviously, but everything was about status and prestige.
And genuinely seemed to like people.
Yes.
As opposed to status.
Yeah.
And that really separated her from, like, her... It's bizarre that they were even related. That
None of them.
She grew up in that house, but I guess they kind of explained that by saying the mother was more like Anne.
Yeah.
Whereas the father was always this flighty,
stupid
ne'er-do-well.
Fame whore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much sums up what my opinions of it.
Okay, what about you, Olive G? What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was kind of good.
Okay.
But it also made me gas up the blanket.
Oh my god.
When we were watching it.
Why?
What?
You're saying that this film made you gassy?
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
That's some weird science right there.
So, I mean, I guess it's a difficult thing to jump into if you don't know the specifics. I've actually read the book. I own like 3 copies of the movie. I own 3 copies of the book. This
Mommy,
is my favorite
you didn't ask
Austen.
me about my opinion. and
Oh,
my
sorry,
favorite part.
sorry.
Aside from
Yes.
flatulence,
I'm sorry. You know
what
what?
does this film bring out in you?
Your confession there just completely threw me off. I'm sorry, Olive G. What did you think of the movie, and did you have a favorite part?
I kind of liked the movie.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my favorite part was also that Louise girl thought she could jump off that ledge.
I've never heard people laugh so much.
Captain, I'm determined to jump off the ledge for this time.
Is that going to be your new catchphrase, Olive? I'm determined, Captain. And then just do something reckless.
Oh my God! Please don't. Please don't.
Just drive your head into a wall. Or...
Oh my God, Dad!
So yeah. Is there anything more to say about this one?
I guess not. I mean, I think it's.
I mean, what do you say? This is your favorite story. What about this one do you love?
I love the study of the times. This is definitely a snapshot of 1800s England and society and how people viewed each other. And I think I like the truthfulness of these characters, because we all know people that are horrible people, right? We all know somebody who would say stuff without care of other people's feelings, and this movie is sort of a snapshot to personalities today as well. So I think in that respect I enjoyed it. I read the book multiple times before I ever saw the movie, so I had an understanding. And again, Austen is one of my favorite writers. I love everything about her books. I love all of her novels. I've read all of her novels. I own all of her novels.
So what do you like about it? The time period, or just how she writes characters?
I love, because it's a love story, and I think in my heart I'm a rank sentimentalist, and I
that's
think
what she focused on,
right?
Love stories, right?
Love stories mostly. I mean, but they're also kind of like quips at society, how society portrayed itself, how it was viewed. It's definitely, I don't know if snap of like slice of life is an actual like is a terminology that would do it justice.
I think it's also, I mean, from what I've seen, I mean, like I said, my experience with Austen is limited to pretty much this and Pride and Prejudice, but it seems she was very against this like prim and proper, you will marry this one, arranged marriages without love. I mean, that's the protagonist in pretty much all her stories.
Right. And I think her as an individual, she also carried that in her life. Very cool. So, again, I just, historically, I love the costumes. I love these types of movies. I love, I guess, romantic movies on the whole. Although I also love horrible violence, but I think that this kind of speaks to the girly part of me. So, and that letter always just, I swoon every time I hear it. And I had the biggest crush on Ciarán Hinds after I saw this movie. So,
yeah, I was hoping that I would be able to hear the letter better, considering how much you talked it up.
Yes.
But like I said, I think the kids agreed with me. I think the side effect of that movie is coming into play right now. I think I agree with the kids the way they handled that with her voice and his voice, and then they would sort of like merge them or overlapping it. Their voices don't harmonize. Her voice was like, and Ciarán Hinds is like,
I don't agree, but then again, I think I come from the advantage of that I've read the letter, so I knew what
exactly what
was
he said.
going in,
I didn't know what he said.
into it, right.
There were parts of it, like from what I heard, it was very nice. I mean, the piercing of, you pierced my heart.
Yeah, I heard you pierced my soul and then nothing else.
Yeah, that's some good writing there, but then it just became all muddy.
Yes.
So I think the big gotcha moment was not handled the best in this version.
All right, so I'm going to read you the letter now.
Okay, please let me hear it.
Okay, so when he comes back into the room and he pulls out the envelope for her to see, and she sees it, and she opens it up and she reads, "I can listen no longer in silence. I must speak to you by such means as are within my reach. You pierce my soul. I am half agony, half hope. Tell me not that I am too late, that such precious feelings are gone forever. I offer myself to you again with a heart even more your own than when you almost broke it 8 years and a half ago. Dare not say that man forgets sooner than woman, that his love has an earlier death. I have loved none but you. Unjust I may have been, weak and resentful I have been, but never inconstant. You alone have brought me to Bath. For you alone I think and plan. Have you not seen this? Can you fail to have understood my wishes? I had not waited even these 10 days could I have read your feelings, as I think you must have penetrated mine. I can hardly write. I am every instant hearing something which overpowers me. You sink your voice, but I can distinguish the tones of that voice when they would be lost on others. Too good, too excellent creature, you do us justice indeed. You do believe that there is true attachment and constancy among men. Believe it to be most fervent, most undeviating in F.W. Frederick Wentworth. I must go. They cut some of that out in the movie.
Yeah.
I must go, uncertain of my fate, but I shall return hither, or follow your party as soon as possible. A word, a look will be enough to decide whether I enter your father's house this evening or never.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
good. That's really good. Yeah. That is some lovely speech writing there.
But it certainly is. I think the first time I read that in the novel, I am sure I caught the vapors, but it's lovely, and I think I love the idea in this particular film about second chances, and I think that she understood that she made a mistake. You see that early in the film when she's talking to Lady Russell, and she's like, I want to say something, and Lady Russell's trying to shut her up, and she's like, listen, I don't blame you, but I think that now, obviously, with experience and hindsight,
I was stupid to listen to you.
Not that I was stupid to listen to you, but I think I may have made the wrong choice. Yeah. And I think if I had made a different choice, my life would be different. And I think that's another thing about these times. Women, especially, you bring it up yourself, are seen as possessions, as decorative pieces.
Collateral.
Collateral. They're not beings. They're just there, like the furnishings. And the lovelier, the nicer, more attention that piece of furniture or thing gets. And it's interesting to see that, because even now, some of that plays into our societal norms, I guess. So I think that's another reason why I love these books so much, because even though that was 1800s England, some of that still resonates to this day. I mean, you still have people falling in and out of love. You still have people that end relationships for the wrong reasons. You still have people that are very proud, or considered very proud, or very prejudiced, depending on interpretation, right? So I think the essence of love, right? The stories of love are stuff that translate. I mean, Clueless, right, is a variation of Emma,
Yeah.
the story of Emma. So when it's done right, it can be fantastic. We also, at one point, I think when you and I were first married, because we used to go to the Blockbuster all the time, we rented Bride and Prejudice, the Bollywood movie, which was awful.
Bride and Prejudice.
Which was with the guy from The Ring.
I may have blacked that out.
It was that terrible, and I don't blame you.
That wasn't the one with soccer, was it?
No, that's Bendit like Beckham.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what you're. Yeah, I
You
vaguely recall.
know what I'm talking about.
I think the only takeaway from that movie was that's
it had
the guy.
Torque.
Yeah, that's the guy from The Ring. He's in Torque now, which is the stupidest name. It was like this Fast and Furious franchise ripoff, but he's in
Before
Torque.
Fast and Furious. I think that came out before.
I think they came out around the same time.
I think that came out before.
I'll have to look that up on Google later. Torque! But I always heard, oh, that guy's big in India.
Yeah, from that movie. Go figure. So, yeah, I mean, when it's done well, although I think it's funny because young me loved Clueless.
I didn't like Clueless at all.
But now that I watch it, I'm like, oh, yeah, this didn't hold up very well.
She's trying to hook up with her brother. That's gross.
What?
What the hell?
He's not technically her
Yeah.
brother.
Well, they were stepbrother and sister.
They were stepbrother
But she
and
grew
sister.
up with him her whole life.
No, not her whole life. She was like wife number 2 or 3. They were married for like 2 or 3 years. But this guy always reverted back to her father because he was like a good guy. I think his mother was like this flighty thing that was like next man candy. Although, what's his name? Isn't man candy?
Dan
Hayden.
Dan Hayeda. Nick from Cheers.
From Cheers, yeah. Carla's husband. But, yeah, I mean, I think when I see it done well, I mean, there's that new version of Emma that I'm dying. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't sat through it from start to finish.
No.
I want to see that too, actually,
that's
but
not Jane
that's not Jane Austen. Far from it. But I think like that movie's beautiful, and it's really well done. Ang Lee's Sense and Sensibility is another just glorious movie. So I mean, but those are obviously based on the original source materials. I love it when people take those source materials and modernize it and make it into something new. There's a ton of stuff on YouTube. I like to waste a lot of time while I'm folding clothes watching YouTube movies, and I've come across, I can't think of anything off the top of my head of, I guess, retellings of the Austen movies. There's one about a dog walker. Is it I forget what it is. I think Dean Cain is in one of them. Or somebody that looks like Dean Cain. Anyway.
Is it a Hallmark movie?
I don't know if it's a Hallmark movie. It could have been, or maybe Lifetime. But there's one of these that's like a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and it's terrible. So, I mean, it's great source material, and again, when it's well done, it can be it can be utterly fantastic. This movie, to me, I mean, like I said, there's a couple of versions of Persuasion. This, to me, is the definitive version. I absolutely love every single stitch about this movie, from the costuming, from the set design, the location shoots, whoever scouted all these locations and then got whatever furniture was needed, whatever, fantastic work. All the actors, the script stays true mostly to the novel, which is nice. Although, again, I'm not one of these purists. It doesn't have to be 100% gospel to me, but I can appreciate when filmmakers give the respect to the source material. So, having said that, I was going to go and get the numbers, but now Kid 2 has locked herself in the bathroom. All right, I guess we can ask her through the door. Olivia, 1 to 10. What's your number? A 7.
7.
What would you give it, Chi?
This movie isn't that great. It doesn't really appeal to me.
Okay.
But there's that scene, so I'm going to give it a 7 as well.
You're a 7 for Louisa's faceplant.
Yes.
Was that the name of the chapter?
It should have been.
That was a very big event.
I'd probably give it like a 6.5.
Oh, outrageous.
It's
Again, I'm personally biased. I love this movie.
okay.
I love this book. I give it an 8.5. It's not a perfect movie, no, but I think for the source material and for everything else, and you know what, I would probably give it an 8.75. It's really, really good, and I know that I think BBC tried to do like reboots of these in the 2000s. I kind of feel like those fell kind of flat. That's just me. This to me is the definitive Austen as far as Persuasion goes. And we're going to probably review at some point Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden.
That one I thought I really think it was so much better because like this one, another thing that kind of sort of nagged at me a little bit was I just didn't get I mean, I know they're in love for so long and whatnot, but I just didn't feel it.
That guy wasn't attractive.
I
love
Ciarán Hinds. There's nothing wrong with Ciarán Hinds. This is a young Ciarán Hinds. This isn't the Ciarán Hinds who.
This is my opinion.
Okay.
This guy is not attractive at all.
Yeah.
I asked you kids if you wanted to watch Twilight. I was willing to subject myself to it.
Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, I just didn't. I didn't feel like there was this chemistry there. I didn't feel like this relationship was. I mean, I guess because the relationship was already set, so you didn't really have to really get to know these people and get to know how they might love each other. Whereas, let's say in Pride and Prejudice, they didn't know each other in the beginning, and you see the relationship develop.
Right.
And
she resisted
even
him.
though there was like resistance and resentment and all these other emotions coming in, you still were like, oh, there's definitely something going on. Yeah. You know, there's some looks and stuff that are
Well, that's another thing about Austen movies, right? When Frederick helps Anne into the buggy, right, with his sister and Admiral Croft, the hand on the back of on her back, right?
It looked like it was digging into her back.
Well, he's like, he's trying to, a look. That's another thing about like Austen, like movies or books. It's like the nuances, like in Pride and Prejudice.
I thought he was actually touching her butt.
No, his hand wasn't on.
No, you're right. There's a lot of looks and stuff, but I feel like in Pride and Prejudice, they do a better job of it. Better. Like there was a lot of points in this movie where people were just like looking at each other, and it almost felt like they were saying, like, in their heads, "You understand what I'm doing, right? You understand?" like Mr. Elliot.
Elliot, yes. Yeah, he was ominous, right?
He just like stood like there's a conversation, and all of a sudden nobody's talking, and he's just sort of like staring at Anne like I expected him to sort of like start nudging his chin forward, like, come on, over here. And then the scene just changed, and it was like, what was that?
Yeah, that was creepy and
menacing.
Yeah. So, I mean, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
So
I think that they could make a better version of this, maybe.
Possibly. But to me, so far, this is the definitive version. I think we should do Joe Wright's. Well, Joe Wright is such a gorgeous storyteller. All of his movies are like these just beautiful things to look at. He did like Anna Karenina also with Keira Knightley.
Yeah, you'll have to guide me through that. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Where it is.
Jeez. He's the director.
Yeah, I picked that up, but it's not like as though I'm like, Joe Wright movie.
He did the Churchill movie with your boy Gary Oldman. Oh my gosh. You are a heathen. But yeah, we should probably...
He did a lot of movies you didn't see, right?
But we should probably do that, and I'm going to start a controversy and say that Joe Wright's Darcy is the definitive Darcy. And that's all that I'm going to say about it.
Okay, I probably agree with you because that's the one that I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
So that's it from us, and we bid you all a good night, a happy early Valentine's Day, and enjoy your President's Day if you can get that day off from your job. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Send me gifts for Valentine's Day. I'm just joking. I don't know.